In this lesson, we look at place value, and these are the things we are going to learn. 1, we will look at whole numbers. What are whole numbers? And 2, we will look at how to create a place value chart. And 3, we will also look at how to use the place value chart to find the place value of a digit in a number. And last thing we will look at is how to find the place value of a digit in a number without using the place value chart. In this lesson, we want to look at what we mean by place value. So when we say place value, what do we mean? But first, let us look at what we did or studied in our last lesson. In our last lesson, we talked about whole numbers. And we said that whole numbers are the set of numbers that include 0 and the set of natural numbers. We also say that when we say natural numbers, another word we can use or term is counting numbers. And as the name suggests, when we say counting numbers, it means the numbers we use in counting. So it starts from 1, 2, 3, 4, and it goes on like that. So this implies that when we say whole numbers, then we are talking about a set of numbers that have 0 and a set of counting numbers. So we say that the numbers go on to infinity, or they continue indefinitely. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I am putting 3 dots here. We call it ellipses, and it implies that the set of numbers or the set of whole numbers continue indefinitely. Now we have what we call the number system, and the standard number system that we use, that we see often here, is what we call the decimal, or what we say the base 10 number system. So we have base 2 or the binary, we have base 8 or the octal. Now when we talk about the base 10 or the decimal number system, we use 10 digits. All right, so we have the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now all these numbers, we call them digits here. So these are called digits, D-I-G-I-T-S. Now you have to note it very well, because it begins from 0. The set of numbers here, or the number of numbers here, is 10. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now if you want to construct numbers, what we do is that we use these digits plus the idea of place value. Okay, so that brings us to our next topic. What do we mean by the place value? All right, when we say place value, it simply means that, you know, the value of a number per the place the number is, or depending on the place the number is. Let me try to explain this with an example. For instance, if I write this number, what is this number? This is the number 7. All right, so just 1 7. So let me say 1 7, or the number 7. What if I write this and I add another number to it? So how do you pronounce this number? Of course, that is 75. All right, so I want you to listen to it very well. Here we say 7, here we say 75. So 75, the question I want you to ask is that, does it comprise just 7 and 5? Because 7 plus 5 is 12. The answer is that this is not the case. Now, because of the position of the number 7, it is no more 7. We say 75. So this implies that if we split this, we have 70, then we have 5. Okay, yes, because when we add what 70 to 5, we get 75. So why is the number 7 now pronounced 70? Because of 8's position. So let us try to break this down further. So, you know, I want us to separate the 7. 70 is 7 times 10, and this will be plus 5. Okay, I want us to go on to look at this. What does this mean? You know, when we say 7 times 10, it means 7 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, So we can say this, or we can also say we have 10 7 times. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. All right, but I want us to focus on this because we are talking about the number 7. All right, so I want to write this as 7 tens. So we need to get 7 10 times, and 7 10 times will give us the 70, and when we add 5 we get the 75. So if you look at it very well here, what I'm trying to say here is that depending on where we put the number 7, the value of the number 7 changes. Let me move on. I write 7 5. This time around I'll add 3 to it. So how do we pronounce this? That is pronounced 753. And look at it again, 7, and this time around I'm saying 100. Okay, and 53. So this time around, right after the 7, I have 100. I don't have 10 again. So 700, and I have 53 here. So I'm particularly interested in the number 7. We are looking at the value of the number 7 as its position changes. All right. So if I add the last one, 753, let me add the number 8. So how do you also pronounce this? We say 7,000. All right, 7. Then we say 1,000 and 538. So if you look at this, right after 7 here we say 1,000, 7,000. Here we say 700. Here we say 70. All right, so that is the idea about what we mean by place value. So when we say place value, it essentially means the value of a number depending on the position of the number. Now we can understand this even in real life. For example, if you go to say New York in the United States, all right, the value of a mobile phone here, we can take any phone, let me say Huawei, will be extremely costly as compared to the value of the same mobile phone in China, say Shenzhen in China. All right, so the value of the same gadgets, the same number, changes depending on its place. That is the place it is. Because when you go to New York, the living standards are high. You buy things at a higher cost. But in China, it's very easy. Say in Shenzhen, it's very easy to buy gadgets, particularly electronic gadgets like mobile phones. So that is the idea about place value. Now I'm going to draw some boxes so that we can put in some numbers. Then we will look at what happens as we jump the numbers forward. So I have 3 boxes here. Let me add more here. 1 2 3 4 5 6. I think that is okay. Let me add another one. Okay, so we are going to use the 10 digits that we talked about, and that is 0 1 2 3 up to 9. All right, so let me put the number 7 here. Okay, how do we pronounce this? That is just 7. Okay, that's just 7. Where we don't have any number, we put the number 0. So if you look at this here, we have 7 here. There is nothing in these boxes, so we put 0 here, 0 there, 0 here, 0 there, 0 there. When you write 07 is the same as 7. If you write 00007, the zeros, we say they are not significant, they are not important, so we just say 7. So where we don't have a number, we will just put 7 there. Now when we move on to the next set of boxes, what I want to do is that I want to jump the 7 to the next box. So I will put the 7 here. So that means that we will have nothing here. Okay, so for now, let me ignore these boxes so that it doesn't create any confusion. Now I want us to look at this here. Here we say the number 7 because it is the first number and the only number, of course, here. And when I jump the 7 to the next box on the left, I get this. So how are you going to pronounce this? Are you just going to say 7? I put 0 here because there is now nothing here. So if there is nothing there, I just want to put 0 there just to hold the place. So it's something like a placeholder. So we call this 70. So we say 70 here, and you can see that this is just 7, and here we say 70, and that is 7 times 10. What if I move the 7 again to the next box? I have it here. So there will be nothing left in these 2 boxes here behind the 7. And how do you pronounce this? We say 700. So here we have 7,000. times the hundreds, so 700. All right, let me move the box again forward here, so I have it here, and I'll add zeros here because I have nothing here. And how do you pronounce 7000? We say 7,000. All right, so you can see that depending on where the number is, the value of a single number, the same number 7, keeps on changing. Let us try to add 2 more here to make it a bit interesting. Okay, so I'll move the 7 to the next box here, and I'll add zeros here. So how are we going to pronounce this? Now, when we have numbers like this, we start from the right, then we move to the left. We count 3, then we put a comma there. So 1, 2, 3, let me put a comma here. So that is 70,000. So now you see that we have 7, all right, but we are now dealing with tens of the thousands. So we have 70, we have 70 here. We call this tens. So now we see the 70 again, then we see the 1,000. So we see 1,000 here, and we see 70s. We say this is 100, this is hundreds, and we have thousands here, so we say that is thousands. And of course here we see the combination of tens and thousands. We see 10 here, then we see 1,000 here, so we say 10,000s. So let me move it to the next box here, 7. And what do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We have 7 here, times we have 2 zeros here, so that is 700,000. So we have hundreds of the thousands, so we say 100,000s. Okay, thousands, sorry. So that is the idea about place value. You can see that the value of a single number 7 keeps changing depending on the position the number is, and that is what we mean by place value. Now we have something that we call the place value chart that we use to learn these place values, and you don't necessarily always have to draw them, but we're going to look at them now. Let me draw something like this here, and let me divide this into columns here. So we are going to put some numbers in, and we're going to define what these things mean. So we call this the place value chart. So place value, and there is the charts. Okay, so we call it the place value chart. It begins from the right and it moves to the left. So the first column, we call this ones. All right, let's do this using an example. So let's say we have the number 7, 5, 3, 8, 1, 2, 4. Okay, I think that is okay. So let me put the number here. So we have 4, 2, 1, 8, 3, 5, and 7. Okay, did I get it right? 4, 2, 1, 8, 3, 5, and 7. Okay, so that is that. So we say that is ones. So that is just 4. All right, so it is just ones times 1. And when we move on to the next column, we call this tens. All right, so you see that we have 1 here, so 1 times 10, so that is 10. So that is tens. Then we move on to the next column here, and we also call this hundreds. Hundreds. So we have 10, so times 10 again, then we have 100 here. Okay, so from the right, we begin from the ones, then we keep multiplying each of the columns by 10 to get the next place value. So here we have hundreds, we move on to the next one, then we have thousands here. Okay, so we have 100 times 10, and we have 1,000. So the 8 occupies the thousands position. So if we were to read from just here 8124, we would say 8,124. So from thousands, we multiply the 1,000 by 10, and we have 10,000s. Okay, so that'll be 10,000 here. Then we go on to the 5, that is the next column, times 10, then we have 100,000s. Okay, so we have 100,000s here, so this is going to be 100,000s. Then the last one, times 10, we will have million. So we have it in millions. So 7, we will have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that will be millions. So how do you pronounce this number? This number is pronounced as, so let me check it from here, 1, 2, 3, comma, 1, 2, 3, then we have a comma here. So that is 7,538,124. So what you see down here is what we call the place value chart. It helps us to find the place value of the numbers. Now let us look at some examples here, how we're gonna find the place value of these numbers using the place value chart. Now as you keep doing this, you become so good at it that you will not even need the place value chart. So let's look at how we start this and how we do this. So let's take our first example, and the number is 862, and the instruction is that, so let me put a general instruction here. So write the following numbers. So write the following numbers in the place value chart. So that is how we solve this question. It is pretty simple. Let's draw the place value chart. So I'll draw some horizontal line here, and I'll have my columns here. And because I have just 3 digits here, I'll just draw 3 columns here. Okay, I think that is okay. So I begin from the right. The first one is the ones, and so I have 1 here. Then the next one, times 10, I have the tens, so tens here. And the next one, times, so the 10 times 10, I have 100, so that'll be hundreds. Okay, so that is that. So let me put the numbers there and see where they are. So I have 2 here. I'll start from the right to the left. I have 6 here, and I have 8 here. So the place value of the digit 8 is hundreds. So to pronounce this, I say 800, and the place value of the digit 6 is tens. So I say 62. I say 60. And of course, the 2 is at the ones position. So it is just a single digit. So I say just 2. So we pronounce this number as 862. So let's take our next example, 35701. How do we write this in a place value chart and find the place value of the individual digits? So let me draw a horizontal line here. And how many numbers do I have here? I have 5 of them. So let me have 5 columns here. 2, 3, 4, 5, and that is okay. Let me put the numbers from the right to the left. So I have 1, 0, 7, 5, and 3. Okay, so the first one, this will be the ones. All right, so times 10, this will be the tens. So the 10 times 10, this will be the hundreds. And 100 times 10, this will be the thousands. Okay, and 1,000 times 10, this will be 10,000. Okay, so how do we pronounce this number? 1, 2, 3. So we say 35,701. Now what does this mean? This means that the number 3, or the 3 digits, is at the 10,000s place value. So I can break this number into components for you to look at it very well here. So starting from here, 3 is at the 10,000s position. So it's something like 30,000 here, because that is tens of thousands. So that is 4 zeros. And the 5 is at the thousands position. So let me put 5 under it, 1,000 here. Okay, then the 7 also is at the hundreds position. So 100, 2 zeros, so that will be 700. And I have just 0 tens. So the number of tens in the number is just 0, so there is none. Okay, so it is something like this, 0, 0 here. And of course I have just 1 ones, and this is that. And if I add the whole of the numbers in this column, I have 1 here. If I add what is here, I have 0. If I add what is here, I get a 7. If I add what is here, I have 5. Then of course 3 here. So I get 35,701. In other words, it determines the value of the number. So depending on the position of the number, it determines how bigger or smaller. Let's look at a third example. So what are the place values of these individual numbers? Let us try to write it in a chart. Now you can do it quickly by, starting from the right. This will be the first digit here, that is 4, will belong to the ones. So I have 1 here, and this we will have the 1 times 10, so that will be the tens, and the 10 times 10, so we have 100. The 100 times 10, so this will be 1000. 1000 times 10, so this will be 10,000. So 10,000 times 10, so this will be 100,000. Then 100,000 times 10, then we have million. Okay, so how do we pronounce this? We pronounce this as 2,857,934. So let's look at this in a place value chart. How many digits do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so I'm going to draw 7 columns here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and let me add the last one, 7. Okay, so these are the numbers we have here. Let me start from the right to the left. I have 4, 3, 9, 7, 5, 8, and then 2. Okay, so as we did say, we begin from the right and we move on to the left. So the first column here, this digit belongs to the ones, so just 4 ones, but the 3 belongs to the tens. So here is times 1, here is times 10. So I have, tens of the 3. So that means that I have 3 tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tens. The tens of the 3. So the 3 is at the tens position. So 3 is at the tens, and 3 times 10 is 30. And 10 of 3 gives you the 30. Alright, so the 9 too is at the hundreds position. So this will be hundreds. And the 7 is at the thousands position. So this will be thousands. And the 5 is at the 10,000s position, so this is 10,000s. The 8 is at the hundreds of thousands, so we have 100,000s position. And times 10, this will be at the millionth position. So this is the millions position. So we say 1, 2, 3, comma 1, 2, 3, comma. So we say 2,857,934. And of course, we can break this into the component as we did with the first one. So we can have here we have 2 million. So this will be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And the 8 is at the 100,000s position. So we can have something like 800,000. Okay, then we have the 5 at the 10,000 position. So we say 5, that is 50 for the tens. Then we say 1,000. Okay, then we have 7 at the thousands position. So thousands, we have 3 zeros. So we say 7, comma 1,000. Then we have 9 at the hundreds position. 100, we have just 2 zeros. So we say 900. Then 3 is at the tens position. For the tens, we have just 1 0. So we say 3 0. So that is 30. Then of course, the 4 is at the ones position. That is a single number, the first one, or a single digit. So we have just 4. And if we add the whole of the numbers in the first column here, we get 4 here. If we add the whole of the numbers in this column too, we have 3. If we add the whole of the numbers in this column, we have 9. And the whole of the numbers in this column too, we have 7. So let's put the comma there. Be very careful, that is just a comma. So let's put the comma here. And if you add the whole of the numbers in this column also, we have 5. The whole of the numbers in this column, we have 8. Then we have 2 here. Okay, so we say 2,857,934. So that is that about place value.